Hi, everyone, and welcome to Look What I Found, a Mythos Busters production. I'm Sean. Joining me are my fellow Busters. We've got Scott.
Hello!
And Ian.
Oh, hi.
And we have something very, very exciting for you guys tonight. Get hype. In the midst of Quarantine Con 2020, God knows if in the future when people watch this, if we're going to be out of quarantine. I mean, who knows? Future's uncertain. But what is certain is that FFG has hooked us up with some player card previews for a product that might eventually release at some point in the undetermined future. But in the meantime, we get to slaver over those things that will eventually release. We've got a couple cards from the Harvey Walters starter deck. Get hype. They're exciting. So this is, we're going to be talking about these for a while. So let's just cut straight to the meat. Scott. Well, you know what? I know you're excited more for the second one we have. So
I am. I was just going to say.
I will respect your slaver. Ian.
Thank you.
Would you please read Whitten Green?
Sure. 1 second. I should have had it ready. It's coming. It's coming. Oh, God.
Everyone's going to finish it before you. Oh, yeah. Look at all the caps in the chat, Ian. You're missing it.
Okay, here we go. Whitten Green is a Seeker ally, 4-cost, level 0, intellect icon, ally and Miskatonic traded, which might be important. While you control a tome or relic asset, you get +1 intellect. And reaction, after you reveal a location or put a new location into play, exhaust Whitten Green, search the top 6 cards of your deck for a tome or relic asset and draw it, shuffle your deck, takes up the ally slot, of course, and 2 health and 2 sanity. Ooh, boy.
And just a gorgeous set of striking green eyes in an otherwise very warm palette.
Yeah, I really like this art piece.
Very good sunshine through hair.
Stunning art. Actually, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So, let's talk Whitten.
Yeah.
So, okay. Everyone's capsing, and I see some coolness here. But she seems a lot to me like Jake out of Ursula, right?
You know what? I actually just pulled up Jake's card.
Okay.
Because I was like, this is so much like Jake. Yeah, but I don't know if this actually... Well, I mean, maybe relics, but I don't know if you actually want this in Ursula. Like, I don't use a lot of tomes in Ursula.
Sure.
Some relics.
I do like the flexibility.
Yeah. I see this going more so in a Mandy deck, probably, or a Daisy deck.
If she digs deeper or grabs more. And yeah, of course, Daisy's always going to want at least one tome in play, so great. I guess my point in comparing her to Jake is, how often have you found that
he used Jake?
That ability triggers?
In solo, it does a bit, like actually quite a bit. In multiplayer, not so much.
Sure, because it is specifically you reveal it as like a result of something you're doing.
Yes,
moving in, putting it into play. Like if you just happen to be present for it happening and it's not your action, this doesn't get to trigger. Is that correct?
Yeah. Someone's mentioning in chat this in Luke and trigger it with Gatebox. Because every time you use Gatebox, this pops.
Oh, shit. This is really good with Luke.
Yeah.
And Gatebox is itself a relic, so he will always control a relic, right?
Yes,
so she just, for Luke, has a permanent +1 to intellect. That's okay. I dig it. I also think that, Daisy's really good, but even if you're not going heavy tome, I think most of the relics are either in Seeker or Mystic, outside of a few outliers. Is that still accurate?
I think so.
I think every class has
the big
one,
majority. Yeah.
2 health also in a Seeker ally, which doesn't happen too often, which is nice. What about this in Harvey? I guess because it is coming in Harvey. This is just fueling his insane card draw, or what's like the big hand style, right?
Yeah. I think if you have enough cards in your deck that are tomes or relics, then to get like the full benefit, then in that case, I mean, you're really potentially drawing an extra card a turn if you're like playing this right and you're constantly on the move. And as the seeker going first to reveal a location, like that's potentially a lot of card draw on par with some other cards, but you have to have kind of the right density of those cards. Otherwise, if it's like I just need one key relic for my deck, then you might as well go with someone like Ellie, who's a little cheaper. But
And
yeah, I think it depends.
I like the idea that maybe later, when you have some experience and you're starting to invest in things, I guess I'm coming around to the idea that I when I build a deck, maybe you guys don't do this, but I do. I tend to think a little bit too heavily in terms of assets a lot of time, like setting up my rig. My rig tends to get pretty fat unless I actively decide, like, oh no, I don't want to spend this many actions in a game actually getting set up. So, drawing assets a lot can be good, but also if like that's the whole point of your deck, there's only so many actions in a game, you're probably not going to play them all, but a lot of relics do have decent icons. So just drawing cards, having icons in your hand, I feel like she might push you in a direction of paying maybe a little bit more attention to that.
Well, and she also helps find those relics that you've maybe paid XP for, right? Over a couple scenarios, and like, if you have this in Daisy, like finding, or Norman Withers too, like finding the Crystalline Elder Sign. Like if you're packing that
card, yeah.
And someone mentioned in the chat, I didn't see who, but this makes Astounding Revelation, like those Astounding Revelation better.
Yeah, and Daisy's weakness triggers the intellect boost. So yay, Daisy!
It also can find her weakness if it's the only one you see.
Oh God, it's just like the Arcane Initiate Dark Memory problem.
Yeah.
So I know we've focused a lot on the relic part of it, but like this on the surface looks like a card that's screaming for Daisy. Like, how good do you guys think this is for Daisy? Is it replacing some of the other tome grabbers, like the Research Librarian, or even some other like just general fetch cards, or I think it's like a very specific Daisy build?
Yeah, my instinct is no, because Daisy, just through Old Book of Lore and now through Scroll of Prophecies, just has so much draw anyway. This it's not a bad choice. I think it might depend on how like relic specific you get with Daisy.
Well, and you know what Chad is also mentioning again, my penguins are lulls. Segments of Onyx is a relic. So here's another way to find the segments.
That's a thing.
So maybe in the big hand Mandy, which I don't know, like the way the cards we've seen from Harvey so far, like he's got the big hand cards, or a few of them at least. If that's what he turns into, maybe he's a good target for the segments as well.
Sure, that would make sense.
It's always worth mentioning, of course, the famous Dunwich Splash. This is level 0, so Dunwich Investigator. So maybe someone like Jim trying to grab his trumpet, and maybe Grotesque Statue, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it boosts his intellect, which can be nice for Jim.
Because I've put Ellie in Jim for that very reason. So
I actually don't mind this in Marie either. Marie could take it, right? She can take level 0 Seeker.
Yep.
Up to 5. Yep. I also like the idea, someone mentioned it in the chat here, that like Astounding Revelation, and like Mandy's got her signature as well with occult evidence.
Astounding Revelation? No. Occult evidence? Maybe.
I think that's right. It's been a while since I played Mandy, but anyway. Like the idea is that you might find a relic or an asset, but every time you search, you're just grabbing those little things that reward you for searching in general, let alone what you find. I don't know. There's some pretty cool things to be done here.
Yeah. Speaking of pretty cool.
Wouldn't
sorry.
you tell me, Scott, let's not forget the Miskatonic trait. That is super important, right?
Yeah. Okay, because this next card, you think you guys are blown away by Wit and Green. Oh boy.
Hold on to your butts.
Miskatonic Archaeology Funding is a level 4 null-costed asset for Seekers. It is grant traded. I don't know if we've had that before. Permanent.
I don't
one
think
per deck.
so, but I love that.
Yeah, limit 1 per deck. You have 2 additional ally slots, which can only be used to hold Miskatonic assets, and forced when you take damage or horror. No more than one of that damage or horror can be assigned to a Miskatonic asset. This is double charisma if you're running Miskatonic Army.
You remember when we used to talk about the Miskatonic Army? It's here, guys.
Yeah.
The ships have arrived. The troops are ready to board. They're about to take over Arkham.
I think the design is interesting in that it's like kind of countering the Miskatonic Army a little bit, and that usually the way that was played in the past is they're just like a bunch of disposable students that you're using for their effect, like the art student getting a clue and then killing them off, or research librarian get a tome and kill them off. But this one specifically says like you can only put one of that damage or horror, so you can still do it, you just can't do it all at once. You got to spread out their pain a little bit.
I will read off all the Miskatonic traded assets. Just gotta make sure. Is Weaver of the Cosmos out?
Depends on where you live.
It's out in Europe, yeah, not here.
Okay, there's one. I just won't read it for some people who are prone or doesn't want spoilers. Art student, Dr. Milan, Dr. Mailson, who I have fallen in love with recently, lab assistant, Pete Sylvester, both levels, research librarian. Yeah, that's where you got those.
Wait, Pete Sylvester's Miskatonic traded?
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
It totally makes sense, but I never even thought about that.
Huh. And then I mean, like, there's
the seeker ones. Yeah,
there's some investigators and stuff, but so this is interesting.
Hey, Scott, you forgot one about Wit and Green.
Oh yes, Wit and Green. Yeah, yeah. She is Miskatonic traded. I don't know what I think about this card. Like, I think it's amazing. I'm just trying to like. There is that downside that, like you said, Ian, the Miskatonic Army usually came with, very disposable students and faculty. Right. And this is less so with that, but also you can take this and 2 charisma and possibly have 5 allies out.
Sure.
So maybe at some point you'll get around to actually playing the game after you've played all your assets out.
I mean, if you're able to get them out fast enough, like you're consistently filling the 2 slots, then I mean, I suppose you're still having to put some on yourself each time, but at least you still have like one that's getting soaked from each source.
And Walker of Tales in the chat says like this changes the Miskatonic Army game, right? Like I think there's now going to be 2 types, right? You have the one where you buy double charisma and they're just disposable people or whatever, and you just flush them down the toilet as they go. And then you have the archaeology Miskatonic Army, which is I'm going to put these people out and they're going to stay out for a long time.
Yeah, because you think about someone like Malison, who has such a good ability that you kind of want to keep around forever, but sometimes I have to treat him disposable because I only have 1 ally slot. He's on the cheaper side, and he's a good soak, so sometimes eventually I get rid of him. But it'd be nice to have the option to just have Malison plus whatever, one of these other Miskatonic allies.
I also like that this is fighting charisma's stapleness. Scott, we were just talking about this on the AV Club where we talked about staples and auto includes. Like, yes, you could take both, but if you're going for that Miskatonic lots of ally type build, you get this for 4 where charisma would cost you 6, and it's not a huge restriction. Like that, that damage funnel is still a bit of a restriction, but it's not a huge one. It's enough that I think a lot of people will take this. Yeah.
And Walker of Tales brings up in the chat too. this also still doesn't restrict your normal ally slot, right? Like you can still have that do whatever, and if it's not Miskatonic traded, whatever allies in there, you can just pile on the damage and the horror as well. So yeah.
When we eventually get the Mystic, not Mystic, like Seeker Rogue combo, which we've yet to get, because I feel like it might be just a little bit too powerful to play with. Like Leo DeLuca with Miskatonic allies. Well,
you can do that in Rex.
That's true.
Currently,
that's true.
Like, yeah, that would be the only one. He has very limited rogue. Like you're saying, 5 Seeker, 2 Rogue. Like the core set split. Yeah, we don't have that yet.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So.
Well.
Anyone else need a cigarette?
Yeah, I need 5 minutes. Just.
So, if you weren't excited for Harvey before, get hype now. And so thanks again to FFG Marketing. Particularly shout out to Evan for hooking us up with these player card spoilers. We're always glad to be able to bring these out to you guys and make a little bit of a show of revealing and discussing them. It's always a good time. Thanks to everyone for showing up. And if you have an interest in continuing to chat Arkham on this lovely Sunday night, head on over to our Discord, where we're about to record our next episode live. And in this episode, we are specifically diving into discussing the starter deck investigators. So, just keeping the conversation flowing here. Someone pop a link into the chat.
On it.
I know like probably 90% of the people here are in our Discord anyway, but just want to hit it at it. So
you would hope.
As always, thanks everyone for joining us here. We'll see you over in the Discord in just a couple minutes. Bye.
Bye.